barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again, barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you feel we never wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Hey son, you got a party, got that little party going on there. Keep to the left, you can't think right, so everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say?
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phone, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phone, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Comrades, you always told us you'd build us all a new Jerusalem, yeah. You talk the talk, but when you walk, you only leave a crooked line there. And you don't see the trouble that's brewing if all you do is just what you're doing.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phone, barefaced lies.
Is this where you wanna be? Debt and childhood poverty. Won't somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy? Oh yeah.
Barefaced lies.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phone, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phone, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phone, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise.
fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011 he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
Very, very good evening, Monday the 21st of July 2025. My name is Raja Amir. This is a Reticent 9 transmission. Well, the lights are working tonight, so that's a good start. I'm nearly there. I think I'm nearly there with the new setup. I preferred my bookcase behind me, but if you've ever been to my house, you'll see the ever-expanding Lego collection and the need for additional wardrobe space. Now I've got a daughter who's growing up, so never mind. I can see the bookcase in front of me. Okay. In terms of what's happening next week, well, there is a meal scheduled as a thank you on Monday night. It is in Oldham. I know it's far away for many of you, and I know it's not possible, but thank you for your kind thoughts and thank you for the support. It's really my way of saying thank you to everyone, because without all of you, new members and old, we would not have got the national inquiry over the line. Do not believe anyone who claims otherwise. There are very, very few people who campaign for a national inquiry. Sadly, and I don't mean it as a criticism, it wasn't something Tommy Robinson did, it wasn't something Charlie Peters did, it wasn't something Maggie Oliver even did. Up to January, Maggie Oliver was openly against the national inquiry. It was a small group of us who understood the levers to power and where and how we would most effectively cause maximum damage and be able to out this to an entire nation, and that would be through a national inquiry. And we've been campaigning for over 6 years now before we got it over the line. So thank you so much to all of you who joined this campaign, and without you we would never have got this far. So it's my way of saying thank you to you. The meal's on me. The meal's completely on me. There's a link somewhere on Eventbrite. I think someone will find it and share it, no doubt. It was sent out, so it was sent out. So please, if you can make it, turn up, and it would be my pleasure to host you and say thank you personally, and maybe shake your hand or give you a hug if you're the hugging kind. And that's who we are. We've grown a community, haven't we? It's an extended family, and it's a community, and it's something to be extremely proud of, I think. And I am. There are very few things that make me proud anymore and give me comfort and put a smile on my face, and that's one of them, the community we've built. So thank you very, very much. Now, before we move on, please do at the very least like the transmissions. There's I don't know how many of you are watching, there's 221 of you who've already joined, so please do like. It does help the algorithms, and our algorithms are doing extremely well at the moment. Let me bring up the photographs and put the first one up and start with some good news. Here is algorithm 1 on Facebook. For such a long time they tried to ban us on Facebook and remove us from Facebook, and here we are with 22,000 followers. The X numbers, sorry, I've not took a screen grab on X, but the X numbers are now just under 100,000, and on Substack we're already over 1,000, which anyway we're very new there, and I'm still finding my feet. And on TikTok, which I don't understand if I'm honest with you, we're already at 3,500 subscribers. And just to bring this up, the video I put up on TikTok is clearly an audience, isn't there, on TikTok? It's not my audience, if I'm honest with you, but there's an audience on TikTok, and the video we put up on TikTok last night is at 414,000 views. So it's just under 500,000 views, a video we put up last night. And where it matters, Red Wall and the Rabble, for those of you who ask, where it matters. Sorry, I'm laughing at what Gary just says. Change the TikTok page name to Reform UK, Oldham, East and West. Maybe Friends of Reform UK, whether they want us or not. Oldham, East and West. And yeah, I think so, Stephen. I think it's gone up because of the shorts. The shorts give me very minimum return, if I'm honest with you, in the serious stuff we do. But you know, who am I to decide what people's interests should be and should not be? In terms of the total members on Red Wall and the Rabble, remember our target is 10,000. It's low. 5,720 we're coming up to. So the 10,000 figure, there's a reason behind it. There's a reason behind everything I do. So please, if you can, encourage people, friends, family. If you haven't already, and many of you haven't already, that's the link to Red Wall and the Rabble. It's completely free. There's absolutely no cost whatsoever to any of my work. I share all of the content for free, and all I ask for people is subscribe for free. If you can afford to pay the £3 a month or the £30 for the full year, do so. If you can afford more, do so. Or if you just want, just buy me a one-off coffee. And we've got this far, and I'd like to think we'll get to where we need to. I just wanted to say hello to my friend Dennis. He popped up. I'd not seen him in a while. Dennis and his lovely wife would always come to the courts with me, and I used to remember, you know. And sorry, Dennis, I don't mean it disrespectfully. You know, you're not a young person anymore, and I felt it. You know, I felt the love and the support when I was being dragged through the courts where the police and the CPS had fabricated evidence in an attempt to maliciously prosecute me and silence me from what we now know is the truth, but more importantly, silence me from this campaign that has forced the national inquiry. So on that, I would like to, so I'll put that back up. I would like to, evening George. How are you? I would like to start with this. So this is my emails, sorry, I can't work out how to close that, but you can see that as it is. It makes no difference. There's nothing that you need to worry about. You can see on the 17th of July, I sent an email to GMP. 2 police officers attended my home yesterday, and the response was this from one of the police officers, that they attended to assist me with something or another. I asked a question on the 17th of July to PC Rabani because PC Kiani was on leave. I've shared this with you. I heard nothing back, and on the 19th of July I sent this. Over 48 hours have passed since I requested an explanation for your uninvited and unexplained attendance at my home. To date, I have received no response. I am now formally demanding a full written explanation for your visit, including the name and rank of the supervising officer who authorised it. This explanation must be provided no later than 12 noon on Monday. If I do not receive a satisfactory response by that deadline, I will proceed with submitting a formal complaint to the IOPC. It'll be a waste of time, but that's by the by. Separately, and this is where it gets interesting, I will instruct legal counsel to begin a private prosecution against both of you, as well as the officer responsible for authorising your visit. You should be aware that a private prosecution carries serious legal and professional consequences. Let me be clear. I will not tolerate continued harassment or intimidation by a police force that has previously attempted to silence me for exposing Greater Manchester Police's complicity in covering up the gang rape of children. You are accountable for your actions. I will ensure that accountability is pursued through every lawful avenue available to me. Here they are. When they arrived. So people who say, oh Raja, what happened? Here you see them. So this is who they are. That's one of them. That's my poor neighbours, and my poor neighbours are, you know, I've had enough of these people. And this is his mate. I've had enough. And one of the reasons I've had enough is these are police officers from Oldham coming to harass me. And there have been repeated crimes committed against me. And when I've reported it, one of the reasons they've given us to not investigating, or the delays in investigating before it gets quietly dropped, and these are outright death threats, by the way, was from the police. Oh, we can't go to such and such a place because it's outside of our jurisdiction. We've got to find the police from Derbyshire, for instance. It was to do with a guy called Neil Wilby. We've got to find a police officer from Derbyshire, or we've got to find a police officer from Tameside for someone, or from Ashton from someone. This is absolute nonsense. It is absolute nonsense. This is harassment and intimidation, and they've sent two bearded Muslims to harass and intimidate me. Well, I'm not going to be harassed and intimidated by anybody, particularly two bearded Muslim police officers. Yes, I am in the Free Speech Union. I actually know Toby Young from a different life, so I am in the Free Speech Union. I've also got a legal team. We've been on a journey together. I've got a legal team, I've got lawyers, I've got solicitors, I've got barristers. It cost me my life savings really to get that one over the line, but we needed to get a team together that would make sure they kept me out of prison, and keep me out of prison they did. So this is now the subsequent letter that has gone out to the Chief Constable, and I'll read it to you. Dear Chief Constable, since I have not yet received a response to my reasonable request for clarification regarding the deployment of Oldham police officers to my home in Tameside, and considering Greater Manchester Police's history of repeated false arrests and malicious prosecution attempts against me, I am left with no alternative but to initiate legal action against Greater Manchester Police. In the interim, should you need to discuss any matter with me, please contact my solicitor, Mr. Mohammed Patel, at Tyler Hoffman to arrange a time for me to attend Oldham Police Station. We've not heard back. If they come and arrest me, they can come and arrest me. I couldn't care less. I will see them in whatever court they want to see me in, because we know, you know what's going on. You now know what's going on. This is all about harassing and intimidating me to prevent the reckoning that's coming. And we should not be intimidated by these people. We must not be intimidated by these people. Nor must we react in a way that allows them to criminalise us. And that is what I genuinely have ended up in a place of believing the police to be. Brown shirts. Before we move on to the focus of this evening's broadcast, which is really about the Islamophobia stuff, the laws that they want to bring in, the blasphemy laws, the backdoor blasphemy laws, aren't they? I want to go through the latest events in Epping and how the government is framing what is taking place. We have Keir Starmer, who condemns the clearly unacceptable Epping migrant hotel protests, has 6 arrested during latest demonstrations. 6 is neither here nor there, if I'm honest with you, in terms of arrests. But let's listen to what he's got to say.
Poppy, should we be expecting more scenes like the ones we saw in Epping last night?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see how you're not going to see more scenes like this. When you take away the democratic lever, when people say, I don't want this to happen in my community, years, because this is how long this hotel has been operating for. There have been tensions growing for years. And it feels quite personal to me, because I'm from Essex. I was born in Southend. I grew up between Braintree and Malden. I've been to Epping before. It's a really lovely town. And I know the people from Essex are very generous people, and they have a big heart. But this is unbelievable. You know, the fact that they're expected to put up with one of their hotels right near a school, right near the centre of town. I don't know who they are, from all over the world, and they've been ignored by their local politicians for so long. I mean, I'm speechless. It is disgusting.
And this Afghan story this week, where you've got this sort of potent cocktail of open borders, small boat crisis, one in, one out deal, which has gone down like a lead balloon. And now we've got what is one of the biggest state cover-ups in the history of the UK state, where we learn that politicians have been importing thousands of Afghans into the country with no democratic scrutiny, no oversight, misinforming the British people, while accusing the British people of being misinformed when they ask questions.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Afghan thing is governments will always lie. You can bake that in for a start. The bigger question for me on that is why nobody has faced any disciplinary action or lost their job. It's cost all of us collectively as taxpayers £850 million extra. Goes towards all 3 schemes, £7 billion quid. It's a lot of money that could be put towards things like offshore processing centres. However, I've been banging my head for a long time in the Labour Party talking about offshore processing, right back to 2021 when it was offered to Boris Johnson by Emmanuel Macron's Interior Minister. They even said, we will pay for it, where you can put your Home Office officials in, because it benefits neither side politically, because Macron's getting it his side, because Calais is essentially a jungle of vulnerable people and people with potentially nefarious aims. And for us, you've got the moral issue of people potentially drowning, but also filling up a country that is fit to burst in many cases when it comes to public services.
Poppy Coburn, I don't see where the end point is in all of this, because we have a few more years of a Labour government. As we've seen also this week from the OBR and elsewhere, the economy is basically now steadily declining, managed decline.
Okay, so the end point for this is very simple. So I'll take the headphones off. I need some new headphones. I think that don't... anyway, the end point for this is very simple. The hotel needs to close. And these people need to move out. Because what you've now got is a government digging its heels in and playing political football with the lives of innocent women and children. When we now find ourselves in a position where the truth is out and someone has been charged And I'll bring that up in a second. Just give me 1 second. Here we go. The demonstration comes after 38-year-old asylum seeker Hadush Gerbelasu Kabatu, oh my, what a name, was charged with sexual assault. So it's a 38-year-old. Kabatu, who was staying at the Epping Asylum Hotel, is accused of attempting to kiss a 14-year-old girl just days after entering the UK via a small boat. He denied the charge when he appeared at Chelmsford Magistrate Court. I doubt for 1 minute that a 38-year-old man who makes advances on a 14-year-old child would be just trying to kiss her. I do not believe it would stop there. Do you, any of you? I'm not talking about this case in specific, I'm just talking generally. Do you believe any man who's 38 years old who decides he's making sexual advances on a child would stop at a kiss on the cheeks? No. He denied the charge when he appeared at Chelmsford Magistrate Court on Thursday. Essex Police later issued a Section 60AA order which banned people wearing face coverings and balaclavas until 4 a.m. on Monday morning. You will recall that when the Essex Police marched down the Antifa protesters, a number of them, being escorted by the police, were wearing balaclavas and face coverings. Thank you, Louise. Kiss is a precursor to access. Thank you. Chief Superintendent Simon Anslow said, ignore his nonsense, it's this bit I want to get to. I would also like to set the record straight around misinformation that Essex Police is anything other than impartial. We don't take sides. We arrest criminals and we have a duty to ensure no one is hurt, plain and simple. Absolute bollocks. Chief Superintendent Simon Anslow. It is clear to more and more people across this country as to what you are and whose side you are on. And two-tier policing, you can deny it all you want. You can deny it all you want. I know the people of Essex know what we're about. Oh yes, so I know they won't believe the rubbish circulating online that is designed to do nothing more than inflame tensions and trouble. So what he's trying to do is immediately split what's taking place. Remember I told you? There's the locals who want nothing to do with the protests and the protesters that are imported far-right nutcases. You all saw the video footage yesterday. In the main, predominantly, it was local people. Local people. I think one of the mothers who spoke was a governor at the local school. It was local people. And of course, the Prime Minister had to have his say. Here he is, Sir Keir himself, responding to last night's protest. The Prime Minister's official spokesman said, peaceful protest is a cornerstone of our democracy, but it's clearly unacceptable to see police coming under attack as they ensure that peaceful protest is able to take place. No, the police provoked the attack. Essex Police put out a statement making very clear, people who protest peacefully, lawfully and responsibly cause us and the wider public no concern. However, we can never and will never tolerate criminal violence, and I think the Prime Minister will obviously echo that. Do you remember what the Prime Minister did when some American idiot got took out by the police over there. The can't breathe stuff. Did the Prime Minister, did I misread that? Did the Prime Minister not take a knee? Did the Prime Minister not take a knee? Did Starmer not take a knee? Do you remember Starmer at that point? Condemning the attacks? No. Thank you, Jenny, so much. First of my super chats for the evening. Thank you. I should get better at this and encourage people to like, support me. And Jenny, thank you. If you're of a mind, please do consider super chats as well. Police had claimed that protesters set off flares in blue and red. I saw those flares set off in blue and red. There were children at the protest, girls setting them off. Why are they setting off blue and red flares? It's to perhaps go with the Union flag? Maybe? Maybe? While holding signs. Remember, this is the police claiming this, making this as though it's an issue. Holding signs which read, "Deport foreign criminals." Since when did having the opinion, "Deport foreign criminals," be a police matter? Since when was this a police matter? Or we go home when they go back. Is that not how protest works? For people to remain resolute and peacefully protest outside the place? Since when did an intention of how people will be protesting by saying we will go home when they go back? So since when was refusing to go home on a banner a criminal offence? And I'm sure to many police officers, defending our girls is a criminal offence because it's so alien to them. The Met Police in front of the Black Lives Matters, yes, 100%. On their knees, weren't they? On their knees. Did they not rip that statue down and throw it in the water and nothing happened to them? They were cleared in court. The banner "Defend Our Girls" is clearly considered to be offensive to the police. Bottles and smoke flares were later thrown towards police vans, completely unacceptable, blocking the entrance to the hotel on the high road. I mean, this is the other thing. There is a criminal element there. You've all seen it. There is a criminal element there. What do they want to do? Do they think they're going to rush the hotel and drag people out and lynch them? I mean, what do they want to do? We're not barbarians. We want a change in government policy. And that policy has got to be to close that hotel because it poses a risk. It now poses a risk to that immediate community, and it's become one of those tension points where the government can't win. So they've got to close the hotel and move those people elsewhere. Continuing to provoke a community and putting an armed police, a ring of police officers around it. It's just, who's come up with that nonsense? Unless what they want to do is provoke the public so they can make more arrests and demonise all of us and make sure that no one protests again. Thank you, Moya. And thank you. I have always stood by my Sikh friends. Some of my, if you came to court with me, you will have found my nephew. I call him my nephew because his dad's a very old friend of mine. Kiran Singh, good strong Sikh name, was his son Rohan was always by my side in all of the court cases that I attended. So I have always had nothing but love from my friends and family in the Sikh community, if I'm honest with you. I don't think that's in any way unreasonable. They had Nightingale hospitals. They should come up with a name for whatever this illegal illegal. I don't even want to use the word immigrant because it gives them legitimacy. It gives them legitimacy. Right. There's a small video, I think, of an interview which I found of value, that I want you to listen to, the first bit anyway, and then we will move on to the Islamophobia stuff. I think, I always mock them, but I think you should move them into Charlton and Didsbury, in the part of the world where I come from, where all the fake liberals live, or off to Hebden Bridge. Actually, maybe not Hebden Bridge. I went there with my daughter the other weekend. It was a lovely place. We had a lovely lunch. I wouldn't wish... in all honesty, having witnessed what happens in the communities where this goes wrong, I wouldn't wish them on anyone. I really wouldn't wish them on anyone.
Let's talk about Epping. I'm really interested in your take on this. 6 arrested as police condemn mindless thuggery during latest migrant hole demonstration. This on the back of, and we have to be careful for legal reasons, JP, you'll know that, the recent court appearance of a 38-year-old asylum refugee who'd only been here for 3 days and sexually assaulted a 14-year-old schoolgirl. Those are the allegations, and he denies them. I have to make that point. Tensions running high. Does it work for the police or the authorities to cast, if you like, the assumption that anybody that wants to go out and moan about this, because I looked at the lines, it was full of women, are all right-wing, right-mad, right thugs? Because I think they're missing the point if that's what they think, pal. I really do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Jeremy, how many times in the last couple of years have you and I sat here and talked about exactly this kind of potential outcome? The fact that the kind of broiling social tensions, the anger, the recriminations that so many millions of people are now feeling, not just against Keir Starmer himself or the Labour Party or this government or the Tories or any of it, but the kind of whole apparatus of the British state feeling increasingly illegitimate. You're watching on your screens now, for those who are watching, a police car actually drive in and push into a protester on the street. That seems very, very, very different from the way that we have seen the police policing certain events in previous years. When you see people screaming for the death of Jews on the streets of London all the time, police didn't seem to be driving into those people. When you saw Muslim gang thugs in Birmingham running around, having heard that there might be far-right people around as a made-up rumour by the ghastly Hope Not Hate organisation, you didn't see the police running them over. You heard them saying, put all your weapons back in the mosque and go home, please. Right? This is why people are feeling an element of this kind of...
Can I just say, when you're doing it, if you're watching this, I have no time for the people that are attacking that police van and throwing bricks, but I would absolutely, if you go back to the beginning of that, before the police vans arrived, and I do not condone... That's ridiculous, that thug. But there were women standing there, not angry, because the point of the matter is that if an asylum seeker who's been here 3 days is attacking a 14-year-old girl, an allegation he denies, people will get angry. Women will be concerned about their security. So, of course, you'll always have the right-wing thugs that take it over, like you'll have the left-wing do-gooders who seem to hijack everything that we talk about nowadays. But I think the politicians need to understand. I think they need to get their heads out of their backsides and out of their ivory towers and understand there is palpable tension in this country because, as I keep saying, people feel that... I mean, what was that story last week? UK asylum seekers to get double benefit payments by claiming in Ireland and Britain. I mean, it is becoming I mean, I was at a golf thing yesterday with my son. 3 men I'd never met came up to me. They all said the same thing. We're 50, we're retired. The world's gone to in this country. Keep doing what you're doing. So many people on the streets are saying something has to change. Something has.
Oliver lost his family just like you guys. Needed someone that could give him special care.
The sound. My apologies. How long before I open my eyes? Sorry. Excuse me, I need to mute it now to... Sorry, my apologies on the sound. Yeah, so speaking of how long this continues, I think it's very simple. It's very, very simple. And I find it bizarre that those, and that's a government advisor there, by the way, a former government advisor, JP. The role of the government in a setting such as this would be to de-escalate the situation. The role of the government is to protect its own people and de-escalate the situation, not cause a confrontation. And that's what the Labour government is doing here. And if I was on Talk TV or GB News or any of them, I would be talking about that. Also, the role of the Home Secretary in a situation such as this would be to attend and speak to the people. My first experience of riots was in the 80s. Leeds, Bristol, Toxteth, Manchester, the old African Caribbean communities. And Margaret Thatcher, strong leader, sent Michael Heseltine out. The government should be sending a government minister out to speak to these people who have legitimate concerns, and they've acknowledged they have legitimate concerns. Yes, I hear she's now announced a public inquiry into the miners, some element of the miners' conflict, even though, I mean, wasn't there like a Labour government for 17 years in the middle of that, where they could have done that? It's just posturing, isn't it? I think you're right, Chloe. I think he doesn't do walkabouts because he's too scared. I don't think he will go out and meet with people and talk to people. In a different era, I think if the old Queen was still alive, she would have sent her grandsons, or at least one of her grandsons. I remember when Grenfell happened. And they turned up. It makes a difference. It honestly does make a difference. It makes a massive difference. And even if all you do is turn up and they shout at you, it makes a massive difference. Because that's the job of a leader, is also to absorb the pain of others. And these people are suffering. What's taking place here is anguish and agony. They are suffering. And you can clearly see that. But instead, you want to, no, you, not you, the government wants to turn that pain and anguish and weaponize it, provoke people and weaponize it, and then not just prosecute them, but persecute the rest of us as far right. In all of the places where I've ever worked, the extremists only flourish when those who should be taking a leadership role are hiding somewhere like cowards. In all of the places in the world where I've seen extremism flourish, it's when those in positions of power have abandoned them. So if the far right has infiltrated these spaces, it is not the fault of the people. It is the fault of the government and the fault of the leaders of our country. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. If you're joining late and if YouTube hasn't sent you a notification or any of that, my apologies. I don't know why that hasn't happened. My plan is to come back at 9 o'clock every night this week. Tomorrow and Tuesday, I've got something planned for you on the rape gangs and the inquiry. Wednesday as well, Thursday as well, and I plan on coming on Friday lunchtime. So that's my plan for the week. And then I'm away Friday till Monday. I think Monday lunchtime I'm away with my daughter. I think we're going and staying in a caravan somewhere with her cousins. So that's where we're going, and I'll be at the meal on Monday night, and I think that will be it for the summer, which is why I'm trying to, be here with as many of you as possible for as long as I can. And of course, this is all dependent on whether the police come and arrest me or not. Thank you, Kurt, for sharing the YouTube expertise there. It's not my world, but a lot of the time you've not got the notification because the bell next to the sub button gets unchecked. Hit the bell. It should bring notifications back. Let me just get a glass of water, if you don't mind, before we carry on. Maybe you'd like to get yourself a drink and we'll move on to the Islamophobia content. So please let me go and get myself a drink. Maybe you get yourself a drink. And if you can, please do support me. Buy me a coffee. Subscribe to Redwall and the Rabble. The vast majority who engage in my content these days, I think it's something like 75 to 80%, do not subscribe on any of the channels. So please do support me. It's 100% free, but it makes a massive difference to not just our reach, but to the power we wield as a consequence. They are now only taking us this seriously, not just because we're relentless or the content or the quality of what we bring. It's also because of our numbers. Our growing numbers make us harder to ignore. So thank you so much. I'll put the song on and I'll come and explain the song in a minute when I get back. And I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again, barefaced lies. Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again.
It's like, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. If you want to where it's all gonna end, yeah. If you think we have a lot to defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal road, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Hey Sean, you got a party? so everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say?
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, better face. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, better face lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Comrades, you always told us you'd build us all a new Jerusalem, yeah. You talk the talk, but when you walk, you only leave a crooked line there. And you don't see the trouble that's brewing if all you do is just what you're doing.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, better face lies.
Is this where you wanna be? Debt and childhood poverty. Want somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy. Oh yeah.
Barefaced lies.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, better face. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, better face. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit cold, overgrown, postal phony, better face.
No, Katie, I think we should call them what the name Louise used to describe them as. They're invaders. I think that's, immigration. I'm a product of immigration. I don't think we should use the term immigration to describe these people. They're invaders. And I think that's the right term. I'm genuinely concerned, Philip, because I look at it, and I think the Prime Minister's made reference to it. Nigel Farage today, I think, also made reference to it. I think it's increasingly clear that it's going to go horribly wrong very quickly. I think that's clear to all of us. And I feel sorry for the young police officer. That'll be the case. Ill-equipped, ill-trained. I think that's clear as well. And then when someone throws a punch or something happens, that filter, that line preventing people, because we're a very respectful country in the main. Remember, our police officers are armed with guns and stuff, and we might shout and scream at them, we might line up against them. But apart from those idiots, like those idiots in Manchester that we saw swinging at them, we're not like that as a nation. Our police are meant to police by consent, and I think that's going to go. And I think when it does go, I feel sorry. I genuinely feel sorry for a lot of young police constables. I think she was ahead of her time then, don't you? I think she was ahead of her time. I think it is an invasion. I think making reference to them as invaders, I don't think is inappropriate. Let me find what I want to bring up first. Let's give this some context first as to what we're dealing with. Thank you to the 2 people, there's 2 of you who've signed up and subscribed since this transmission went live. So thank you so much to the 2 people who have done that. That's extremely kind of you. I'm genuinely I can wait, mate. I can wait for you to get your coffee, don't worry. I only, it's a little dash of Vimto and some hot water. John's here, I think. John there, who wasn't happy about me making reference to where some of these invaders should go and live. I was joking, John. I wouldn't wish them on anyone. But he also messaged me to say, turn your mic on. So, thank you for that. Yeah, I agree. I think we're there, aren't we? If I say thank you to Louise, yeah, I think that's the right term. I'm feeling all right. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to be arrested again. I think that's what's coming with the police, or maybe some police officer will say, "Hold on, why did you go to his house? Why did you go to his house?" And we'll win a civil claim. Don't worry about the civil claim. The civil claim's not what I'm after. I was never after money from him. The civil claim will win, but the civil claim is a pathway to private prosecutions that will come afterwards. Remember, and again, I'm not criticising, Maggie Oliver raised £150,000 off the promise of private prosecutions. She saw fit to launch that campaign at the same time Rupert Lowe's campaign was running. And it actually, it killed Rupert Lowe's campaign in terms of its fundraising. It was like raising an immense amount of money. And then suddenly Maggie Oliver launched her campaign. There were 2 campaigns running at the same time. And people don't like that, is my experience. They want us to work together. And it's been 3 months, 4 months maybe. But no, the first part of what I'll do, which is the civil claim, because that's the process we've got to take. I mean, that'd be straightforward. I've got an appointment with my solicitor, I think, on Wednesday. That'd be straightforward. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the private prosecutions. I'm interested in prosecuting these police officers and politicians who have been involved in torturing me. So let's see where we end up with that. Okay, I want to bring this up because it's serious. Remember, the backdrop of this is that the Islamophobia laws will bring in a whole host of rules that will make it unlawful to criticise Islam. That's what our fear is. They're saying it won't, but I'll get to the list of what it criticises. But this is the context, the background of what we are all genuinely concerned with and object to. And remember, I'm a Muslim, so we're clear. Remember, I'm a Muslim. But at the same time, I'm a British citizen and I believe in the laws of this land. And I have no desire to impose my faith on anyone. So, this is what we'll do. In terms of this, GoFundMe for my legal fees. We'll get to that when we need to get to that. Don't worry about that, Nicole. We'll get to that when we need to get to that. If I'm blasé about this, we have gotten, those of us who've been on this journey have got this far on a wing and a prayer, and now there's so many more of us. You've got to believe. I genuinely do believe there's a higher power here, and it's kept us going, and we'll find a way. We'll find a way. The next phase, Moira, I'm going to do something on this tomorrow. So if you hold on until tomorrow, I'll talk about Rupert Low's inquiry tomorrow. And honestly, mate, I make mistakes every day. And my life is littered with mistakes, so, I'm not one to judge. And I always try and judge people by what they do next, rather than what they've done before. Islamic radio station fined for hate accuses Ofcom of Islamophobia. Campaigners say the row over Salam BCR, which broadcast an anti-Semitic speech, shows the risk of officially defining Islamophobia. And this was July the 16th, so it's very recent, isn't it? It was the weekend, I think. And it was in the Times. An Islamic radio station fined for broadcasting hate speech against Jews has accused Ofcom of Islamophobia. And this is it. Salam BCR broadcast an anti-Semitic speech by Shujauddin Sheikh to its listeners in Bury. That's Greater Manchester, Bury. Salam BCR, a community radio station, included a speech by a radical imam, so straight away a radical imam, so they know what sort of imam he is, and they aired him first of all, denouncing Jews as the biggest enemies of humanity. Denouncing Jews, not Israel as a state or anything like that, but Jewish people, as the biggest enemies of humanity, during its broadcast to the Muslim community of Bury in Urdu and English. The station is run by the charity, so this is a registered charity, Markaz Al-Huda. MPs and campaigners have warned that the incident is an example of the risk the government will create by introducing an official definition of Islamophobia, arguing that it will shut down the ability to punish Islamic extremist rhetoric. At 2 p.m. on October the 17th, 2023, 10 days after Hamas killed about 1,200 people in Israel, the station broadcast a 38-minute speech by the radical Imam Shujauddin Sheikh. He had delivered it to an audience outside the Karachi Press Club in Pakistan 5 days earlier. So you've got to understand, these are not the views of an extremist minority. These are the views of a mainstream majority in the places where these people come from. You need to understand that. These are not the views. This man's views are not the views of an extremist minority. They're the views of the mainstream majority of the audience and the communities these people cater to. The Karachi Press Club in Pakistan. Wow. Sheikh said of Jewish people, their history is from killing prophets to only protecting their own interests, to instigating war and then lending money with interest and strengthening their economy, to achieving a bigger purpose for themselves, and a very big reason for that is for their vision of a greater Israel. Ofcom fined the station £3,500. That's like a round of samosas for some of these people. Ofcom fined the station a pitiful £3,500, concluding This broadcast contained anti-Semitic hate speech and abusive and derogatory statements which were potentially highly offensive and not justified by the context. In response, Markaz Al-Huda handed back the station's Ofcom license and accused the regulator of being puppet instruments heavily run and supportive of a Zionist agenda, which makes it a discriminative and Islamophobic organisation. So here's your license. F you, we'll carry on with the jihad. And they call it salam. Greetings. They call... Mate, what's the point of bringing facts into any of this when you've got nutcases like this man? They don't care. They've never cared. And to answer your question regarding the Charity Commission, Markaz Al-Huda is now being reviewed by the Charity Commission over his remarks. Remember, 2 sets of remarks. One is hosting this guy on a radio station run by a registered charity, and 2, then treating with contempt the fine. So what if we're anti-Semitic? What are you going to do about it? It was reported to the charities watchdog by the National Secular Society. So, this is my thing. I was arrested. Not arrested, sorry, yet. I was visited by the police. This is clearly hate speech. It does not matter that this man is being broadcast from Pakistan. Someone in the UK responsible for Salam Radio in Bury made that decision. And someone in the UK representing this radio station, the charity that owns it, Markaz Al-Huda, is now claiming that their anti-Semitic comments are actually Islamophobic. Now put that to one side. There's someone in the UK responsible for this. Why has Greater Manchester Police not gone and arrested them? Come on, sir. Come on, I know 2 bearded coppers who could be sent over there. They like to move around, come from Oldham to Tameside. They can go from Oldham to, Bury, the other way. Why is the chief executive or the chair of Salam Radio in Bury not being arrested? Why is, and I'm sorry, I'm going to call you guys out. Why has the Conservative MPs not called for this radio station to be closed down and the arrest of its chief executive? Because, there are Conservative MPs in the area. Why have the councillors not done it? Why is this not headline news in the Bury Times? It's in the Sunday Times or the Times, for crying out loud. Why are they not being arrested? Explain that to me. It's crazy, isn't it? It's completely that again, isn't it? It's that 2-tier justice system. You see it there. Megan Manson, the Society's head of campaign, so that's the National Secular Society, reported it to Ofcom, said Ofcom was right to sanction this group. These comments, broadcast within days of the Hamas attack on Israel on October the 7th, were anti-Semitic in the extreme and could have contributed to the division and hate crime in the wake of the attack. 100%. 100%. We urge the Charity Commission to take an equally robust stance on this charity and ensure it cannot publish hateful or divisive sermons in the future, even if that means removing the charity from its register. Charities must never be permitted to be exploited by extremists. 100% agree with you, Megan. But again, it's not enough, is it? Where is the criminal sanctions? Because this is an act of criminality. That this charity responded to Ofcom's concerns by calling the regulator Islamophobic also demonstrates the pitfalls of trying to create an official definition of Islamophobia. Regulators trying to protect the public must not be hindered by fears of such accusations. That's Nick Timothy there, who, last time I saw him, I had a cup of coffee with him. Actually, in Manchester, he came over to see me. Nick Timothy is a very, very intelligent man. He's now an MP. He wasn't an MP when I knew him. He was a former Theresa May's chief of staff. MPs and campaigners have warned that the extremist broadcast exposes the real-world risk of the government's plan to introduce a new Islamophobia definition. Angela Rayner's department is drawing up an official definition, but critics have warned it risks protecting Islam from criticism and creating a de facto blasphemy law. Nick Timothy, a Conservative MP who was number 10 Chief of Staff under Theresa May, said, "Just as we see the authorities prosecute people for the expression of legitimate opinions about Islam, we see Britain's continued weak response to what is clearly hate speech and an incitement to violence. The people behind this broadcast should be investigated by the police and prosecuted." There you go, Nick. My man. Absolutely. The people behind this broadcast should be arrested and prosecuted. This hesitancy to crack down on hate speech will only deepen under Labour's Islamophobia definition by allowing extremists to intimidate the police and regulatory bodies into inaction. Fiaz Mughal, founder of Tell Mama, a project that records anti-Muslim incidents, said, "The Markaz al-Huda's response demonstrates precisely why we cannot have a definition on Islamophobia at this time. Institutions like this can abuse any well-meaning definition to suit their needs, and in doing so play to toxic grievances and perceptions of us and them. We don't need any further divisions in our society." So this is the official spokesman, the founder of Tal Mama, which was the project that recorded anti-Muslim hate crime, coming out and saying we don't need a definition on Islamophobia because it will be weaponized and used against us by these extremists, by the very extremists that we oppose, unless you are of the viewpoint that anti-Semitism is not an extreme view to have. I am. Nick Timothy wrote a lovely piece, and I'll share this with you. He published it on his no, I've lost it. It'll come back, don't worry. I'll bring it up. Sorry, I loaded it up before and it went. I don't need to know what's happening on Love Island. Does anyone watch? Sorry, that's got nothing to do with me. Oh, that's because it's trending. Okay, I see. So Love Island is trending, people. Let me read his speech. Our free speech is under attack. We all know we are not free to say what we think about Islam or aspects of Islamic history, beliefs or practices. From the case of the Batley teacher still in hiding with his family to the intimidation and silencing of mainstream media outlets, our freedom of speech is under pressure thanks to the threat of physical violence, the risk of professional ostracization, self-censorship, the surrender of public sector organisations to mobs and organised campaign groups, and increasingly the manipulation of our laws to make offending Muslims illegal. blasphemy prosecutions. And remember, if you've read the article I shared on this a couple of days ago, I said there is existing laws already to protect. Already sections 4 and 5 of the Public Order Act 1986 are being used to police what we can and cannot say about Islam. That's wrong. This was never the intention of the Act, as is clear from the transcripts of the parliamentary debates at the time, and the fact that the controversies about blasphemy and Islam in this country began 2 years after its introduction with the publication of the Satanic Verses in 1988. Despite this, the police, prosecutors and courts are now using the Public Order Act to criminalise speech and actions that offend Muslims. Section 4 and 5 of the Act make it an offence to cause harassment, alarm or distress by using threatening, abusive or insulting words of behaviour. One might say it is legitimate to prosecute somebody for saying something that might cause wider disorder. Perhaps in such circumstances that may be so, but what has happened in our criminal justice system in the last year goes much further. First, the Crown Prosecution Service gave the game away by charging one man who desecrated the Quran with causing, inverted commas, distress to the, inverted commas, religious institutions of Islam, which is almost the dictionary definition of blasphemy. Second, twisting the law to make a protester responsible for the violent reaction of those who will not tolerate the opinions of others is wrong. In any other context, it would be called victim blaming, and this novel legal interpretation destroys our freedom of speech. I am campaigning to change the law to make clear that nothing in the Public Order Act, nor in any other piece of legislation, should prohibit or restrict any discussion and criticism or even ridicule and abuse of religious ideas. But there is another, perhaps even more damaging threat to our freedom of expression, and that is the government's plan to define Islamophobia. The term Islamophobia has been thrown around and used to attack and silence legitimate political opinion for years. The Centre for Media Monitoring, which sounds benign but is an offshoot of the Muslim Council of Britain and used to intimidate the free press, has for example claimed reports that the Manchester Arena attacker yelled Islamic slogans was Islamophobic. So, shouting Allahu Akbar, for instance, before blowing yourself up, and then reporting that and saying that's an Islamic slogan, is apparently Islamophobic. This is crazy. It claimed the same about reports that referred to Jihadi John, who notoriously executed hostages for ISIS, as a terrorist. So, describing someone who executes hostages for ISIS as a terrorist is apparently Islamophobic, on the grounds that he had never been convicted. You should follow Nick on X if you want. He puts some good stuff out. He does put some good stuff out. Oh, he follows me. Lovely. I do follow him. I think he's a very, very intelligent man. So, let's have a look at what Islamophobia would mean. Questioning Islamophobia as a concept would be Islamophobic. Asserting that members of the rape gangs were predominantly Muslim men would be constituted as Islamophobic. Criticising the burqa or saying it should be banned, forget about the beard and the policemen in beards. Criticising the burqa and saying it should be banned would be deemed Islamophobic. Asking about women's rights in the Muslim world would be deemed Islamophobic. Worrying or expressing concerns that there are little or no gay rights in Muslim countries No, I think it's Iran where they still hang them. That would be Islamophobic. Showing a depiction of the Prophet Muhammad, and as a Muslim, it's not something I would do, but you have every right to do that if you so wish. And me being offended by that, come on. We either live in a liberal Western democracy or we don't. But showing a depiction of the Prophet Muhammad would be deemed to be Islamophobic. And you saw the Charlie Hebdo cartoons and stuff, so that would be way off the scale. Saying Islam was spread by the sword, I'm sorry, Islam is a historical fact, and the way in which the Islamic Caliphate expanded itself was through war. But saying Islam was spread by the sword, so, making reference to history, historical fact, would be deemed to be Islamophobic. Observing that Muslim states historically treated non-Muslims differently, again, it's a historical fact in the Islamic record history books, never mind anyone else's history books. Observing that Muslim states historically treated non-Muslims differently would be deemed as Islamophobic. Repeating a Muslim's claim, so repeating the claim that he is more loyal to the Ummah or to their countries of origin than to the United Kingdom, would be Islamophobic. So he can say it, but you saying that he said it makes you Islamophobic. And identifying entryism by Islamist organisations would be deemed to be Islamophobic. So the Home Office, been infiltrated. If I said that, if you said that, it would be Islamophobic. Expressing concern about immigration and the changing demographics of Britain, using the word invasion would make us Islamophobic. We'd be in prison. Yeah? Because once they introduce a definition of Islamophobia, it means, and the government approved that definition, what that then means is if something I say or you say goes against that definition, it will constitute a hate crime. Wanting to ban or regulate halal meat, Islamophobic. Asking if Muslims have a responsibility to root out extremism and terrorism conducted in the name of Islam in their own families and communities, as Islamophobic. If you disagree that the war in Gaza amounts to genocide, that's Islamophobic. And if you fail to support an independent Muslim state in Kashmir, you're also Islamophobic. And the question Nick asked, and Nick shared this by the way, the question Nick asked, if Islamophobia is rooted in racism, which is what the working definition is at the moment, can I, a white man, be Islamophobic to a white convert to Islam? Is doing so racist? And my friend Gary's just summed up my feelings. Angela Rayner, Debbie Abrams and Jess Phillips should just move to Pakistan and be done with that and spare us this crap. It's unbelievable. Now, I've written a piece explaining what I think it's really about. I'll record it, by the way. I'll read it and record it, and I'll share it tomorrow so you can all see it. But I have written a piece, and this is not really about Islamophobia. They're fighting for the Muslim vote. They're fighting with the Gaza MPs, the Pakistani sectarian MPs, whatever you want to describe them as. Jeremy Corbyn, and there's a new group, isn't there? And they're forming a new party. So the Labour Party are involved in the civil war, fighting over the Muslim bloc vote. It's going to destroy our country, isn't it? It'll be something else. And so I'm clear with all of you. I spend, as well as being a Muslim faith myself, a Muslim origin, I spend a considerable amount of my time with and amongst my Muslim friends and family. No one has raised their hands up and said we need an Islamophobia definition so we can be defended in this country and so our rights are protected. No one from our communities has done that. This is just political grandstanding, gaslighting of you lot. And sadly, disappointingly, there are so few people from the background like mine, who have the courage and the conviction to speak out because of what will happen to them. From amongst the nutcases in the communities they come from, as well as the police who are in bed with the politicians who benefit from this division. Now I know I will never work again in the field I was trained in. I'm at peace with that. And I know I am more likely to see the inside of a prison cell than most people as a consequence of my refusal to remain silent to the gang rape of our nation's children. I'm at peace with both of those outcomes. So thank you. Thank you to all of you who join me, who take the time, in the evenings to come along and say, no, Roger, we're going to listen to you, we're going to watch you. There's 1,300 of you today who've joined me. 229 likes, thank you so much. 2 dislikes. I'm sorry about that. I can't be all things to all people. And I won't. And I agree, because it won't help most ordinary Muslims. It'll only create more divisions. And thank you, Neil. I'll get round to that, Neil, but first of all, the first bit I think I can manage, mate. It's the private prosecutions afterwards. And clearly, the first bit, if I win it, and I will win it, the civil claim, there'll be some money there and we'll throw that in. This is never about money anymore, mate. This fight is about, what's right and what's wrong. And this is bigger than you, me, or anyone we know. The future of our country depends on what we do next and how we fight this fight. I am blessed to have so many of you supporting me. Please, if you find value in my work, like, share, tell people about me, share my work, promote me to your friends, your family, your colleagues. If you see me on the street, do stop and say hello. It makes my day. I was at a bus stop in Upper Mill the other day, and a woman stopped her car to say hello, and left me with a smile on my face for the rest of the day. And please, if you can, sign up to Redwall and the Rabble. It makes a massive, massive difference to me. We're at 5,500. We kind of stalled, really. We should be. My target is 10,000. We should really. With what we do, we should be 50,000 and more. So please, thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow evening for another transmission, which will be focused very much on the rape gang inquiry and the progress and not so progress of that. And if you're yet to do so and you want to come to the meal, find a link or drop me a message. I'll send you the link. I'll just put a spot to one side for you. And I will see you tomorrow evening. Thank you so much. Have a very good evening. Good night.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011 he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.